The number one story this morning, of course, is the minor, they're calling it, heart attack of Coach Mark D'Antonio after Saturday night's Michigan State game. And on Sunday, I started to hear early in the morning reports that this was happening. I sent a text to a friend of mine, and I said, I'm hearing that Coach D'Antonio had a heart attack. And the answer came back, yeah, that was a heck of a finish last night. And I said, no, I'm serious. The man has had a heart attack. And when you look at him, he's the picture of health, 53 years old, slender, tough, eats salads, doesn't smoke. It was shocking to a lot of people. Will Tieman, the current president of the Detroit Sports Broadcasters Association from the Spartan Sports Network, interviews Coach D'Antonio on a regular basis, is around him very often, is nice enough to be with us early this morning. Good morning, Will.
Well, Michael Patrick, good morning to you, too. And I think everybody was shocked. When you talk about a picture of health, could there be anybody who looks better than Mark D'Antonio?
No, not at all. In fact, he's a very serious-minded fella. I mean, you were probably around him right after the game, weren't you?
It was pretty amazing because we were the first media people to talk to him after the game because he goes after the game and he talks to his team, then he comes up to see us. And it was pretty interesting when it was over. We commented that we hadn't seen him so relaxed. Of course, he was in a fabulous mood. But, after a game sometimes you get that really tired look.
Yeah.
It's been a long week, and he didn't have any of that either. And so when the sequence of events in our world was he came to talk to us, then he went to talk to the media, and one of my broadcast partners, Jim Miller, does a little bit for their Michigan State television show. So he leaves our radio booth, talks to Coach, then goes back up, and the two of us finish off the locker room show.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim was waiting and waiting and waiting, and we were told that he got hit on the sidelines and the play in his back was hurting. And having known Coach as long as I've known him, he has a back issue at times, but I've never seen him make it to sit down in a chair and talk football.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed a little strange at the time, but you just can't imagine somebody like him who looks like he does to have a heart attack.
No, nobody believed it when I said it either. And from what I understand, he finished the interview with you, spoke to the media, and then sat down on a bench in the locker room and said he wasn't feeling quite right. And everybody thought that it was because he'd been hit on the sideline apparently by a sweep, or some players ran that way and knocked him over. But he said that he was having tightening in the chest and went straight away then to Sparrow Hospital. But you didn't notice anything. Nobody noticed anything, huh?
Not a thing. And all I noticed was I hadn't seen him in such a good mood after a game for a while.
Yeah.
And it just seemed to me like he just looked good. I mean, and it's funny to say that now, but it just, as we sat there and visited a little bit before and after the interview, he just looked rested and he looked good. So that even made it more interesting because the hours, coaches keep in this sport of football, college football, I mean, it's designed to make you look tired because it's 7 days and it's a real grind. But none of those telltale signs of exhaustion or somebody's about ready to have a heart attack, none of those appeared at the moment. And for that to happen just literally, a half hour, 40 minutes later is amazing.
Yeah, and from what I read, the doctor at Sparrow said that, the stressful event wouldn't cause it, but it could trigger it if it were already predisposed to happen. And certainly that was a stressful finish. I mean, I don't know if you were near a TV monitor when he did the little interview on television right after the game in the middle of the field, in the middle of the melee there, but I thought it was the cutest thing because it looked like he was trying not to smile, but he couldn't help but smile because that was an outrageous finish.
Well, and when you think about that, I saw it the next morning, and so when he was talking to Holly Rowe, I mean, did he look, Michael, Patrick, to you like somebody who was about to have a heart attack?
No, not at all. He looked like someone who was trying to be polite, but who was grinning from ear to ear and on the inside smiling even more.
So it's an amazing thing, but the good news, and I do think this is good news, if this is going to happen, and it probably was going to happen at some point, what a great scenario. You're with team doctors. People can take care of you right away, get you to the hospital right away. And like they said yesterday, minimal damage to the heart, full recovery expected. So if this situation was going to happen, I don't think it could have happened at a better spot, because they got on it right away. And like a lot of illness or disease, I mean, the key to recovery is quick diagnosis, quick treatment, and Mark D'Antonio had all that going in his favor early on Sunday morning. So while I think all of us are shocked, the good news is that they got on it and he's in good shape. I guess if you want to consider having a mild heart attack being something that would have you in good shape.
Mm-hmm. He's been hearing from at least Tom Izzo was at the hospital, we're told, early in the wee small hours of Sunday morning, and he's also heard from Brian Kelly and from Rich Rodriguez. And the exchange between Brian Kelly and Coach D'Antonio, as I read it, was quite interesting at midfield when they shook hands. That Brian Kelly said, "Congratulations, gutsy call. Did you make the call?" And Mark D'Antonio said, "Yeah, who else was going to make a call like that?" He said he called the fake field goal, Little Giants, and he said a little prayer and watched to see what happened.
Absolutely. And, it's one of those situations where it was a gutsy call. But, what's exciting about that, if you're a Michigan State fan, for Aaron Bates, who threw the pass, and for Charlie Gann, who caught it in that game in particular. I mean, these young men have just pick up a little piece of Spartan immortality. Mm-hmm. We'll be talking about this play and that finish for a long time to come. But then you throw on top of it, your coach has had a heart attack after the game. I mean, can you believe such a whole scenario around one football game? It's something you couldn't even write up. You don't believe it. You don't believe the play. You don't believe the win. And then you don't believe what happened to coach. But what is amazing is that it appears. And Don Treadwell, the offensive coordinator, who's going to run the day-to-day operations till Mark comes back. Another piece of good news, the staff's been together so long, they know exactly what he wants done. So short-term things will continue as if he was there in some regards. Mm-hmm. And that's a plus, too, even though there'll be nobody there to draw up little plays where the punter throws it to the tight end for the win.
He will not be on the sideline this weekend, as we're told, but the doctors expect a full recovery. We'll talk more about that as we make our way through the morning. Thanks for being available so early. We sure appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure, Michael Patrick.
Will Tieman, Spartan Sports Network, and the president right now of the Detroit Sports Broadcasters Association, was very close to Mark D'Antonio right after the game.